Alright, a little bit of TNA. Just to let you know, I'm alright still. If anybody wonders why these videos are late, I have bad allergies, which is making me a bit sick. My eyes are still itchy. I've taken any medicine I need to take. It happens. In fact, in New York, the air quality is actually kind of bad. And I actually had to go outside and do shopping, so there you go. I'm not going to make this very long because I want to try and save my voice and try not to my throat to itch too much, because if I'm going to try and do SmackDown, I don't want to feel worse. So this is not going to be heavily detailed, but I am going to go for the most memorable stuff here. Now, first, opening match. When you look at Trey Miguel versus Leon Slater, Leon looked good. Now, here's where things are going to be a little strange for most people. If I compare Leon Slater to Devon Evans, and I know everyone's going to be happy about this, at this point, I'm more interested in Slater than I would be in Devon Evans. Here's the difference. Devon Evans, he's a good, to a certain extent, high-flying wrestler, but he really doesn't have that much there. And the problem I see with Devon Evans, that he's being rushed, along with him being not much different than most of the other high flyers like Frazier, Axiom. If you're going to go into the main roster, you got Rey himself, Rey Mysterio. You also got Dragon Lee. You got more than a few people that is there. You wonder why they're pushing him so hard going into Heatwave. He's a replacement for Ricochet. That's what he is. He's a replacement. So they're trying to get him ready as quickly as possible to get back and get into the main roster. Not get back, but get into the main roster so he could take the place of Ricochet, who by the end of this month, I believe, or the middle of this month, he's free. He can go anywhere he wants. There's no 90-day clause. He just let his contract run out. So that's the reason why I believe that Leon Slater is a little different. Not because he's from the UK. Is that when you look at what's going on in TNA, they really don't have a lot of people. And what few people they do have, they've used them a lot over and over and over and over again. This is not a developmental. This is their main brand. And Leon Slater is one of the few people who is still there, so it makes it interesting. He's more interesting than he is than Devon Evans, because they don't have as many people they're showing. So this match was a good match. And it felt more fluid than what we normally receive from Devon Evans. Not saying Devon is a bad wrestler, and I'm making it clear. He's not. That's the reason why they want to replace Ricochet with him. That's the way it looks. But this is the way I feel. Now, here's where I know people are not going to be happy with what I'm about to say. But I got to say it because I'm honest. It's got to be said. Guys, we just saw Charlie Dempsey come in, knock the fuck out of a Zachary Wentz, mess up the move of a Leon Slater, and then not only beat up on everybody, he also attacked some ref as well. Here's the thing. This is where there's going to be a stark difference in what people are going to understand from me. When you look at this crossover, and so many people were so excited with the crossover, thinking that main roster people are going to come, no. We're only going to generally get NXT wrestlers unless it's already a main roster who's already been on NXT for a while. It's going to show up on TNA. That's the way it looks. But I'm going to be honest here. As far as it looks, the one who's getting the short end of the stick here is TNA. No matter what you think that this collab is helping TNA, what are we really getting here? We're getting more stars that are more established and important in TNA to NXT than we are getting NXT stars to TNA. Let's make it clear. Ash of Elegance has been known for years over in WWE. She was sent over there. Jordan Grace has been sent over there. Kaz, Frankie Kazarian, was sent over there. And Joe Henley, who has really become very popular right now, he's been sent over there. What did we get going back? Charlie Dempsey. What happened to Brooks Jensen? Nothing. Nothing about AJ yet. And I know people can thinking, oh, AJ's going there. Unless AJ is going to show up on NXT and then jump over there, I don't see him going. Unless something happens and they will actually do it, I don't see AJ going back to TNA no matter what anybody says. Because they're only showing people that's on NXT TV going over there because that's what the collab is. It's not from the main roster, it's just the developmental. Unless AJ shows up on NXT with the OC and Michin, who could cross over because she's on the NXT roster more. That's it. The most established person we could get that is showing up on NXT would be Michin for the women. She's the only one, unless Natalya shows up, which I have said before because she has been on NXT TV. TNA is getting the short end of the stick here. They're only getting the most lowest tier wrestlers. And if anybody says, dude, it's William Regal's son, means nothing. What is he doing? He's trying to play off a little bit of Tony D'Angelo saying, forget about it. That's all he's doing. And I'm not against Charlie. I actually like Charlie. But the problem is, this is the high people up here. This is Charlie. You tell me I'm wrong. What did we get before even Charlie showed up? Tatum Paxley. She's not here. She's here. She's not even mid-card. She's here on NXT. So I had to say it. I'm sorry. Next match. Fredrickson had set up a match for Spitfire to go up against each other. Now, here's the thing. Because at the end of the match, you had the champs come and whoop their ass. It's understandable. It was a 10-minute match. They came in, they whooped their asses. But it does show how weak the tag division is for the knockouts. It just does. And the tag division is so weak that you now have only 2 teams that are being spotlighted right now. This is it. This is it. This is all you got. And it's sad to see that they should have more women doing something and they're not doing it. Now, I'm not telling you the match that Spitfire, that Danny Luna is a good wrestler. And Jody Thread is a good wrestler. But we're talking about 2 singles wrestlers who've been stuck together as tag wrestlers who now going against 2 singles wrestlers. Well, one of them is more better as a tag in Marshall Slamovich. But still, 4 women that should be in singles competition are now in tag competition. And this is what we get. They don't even show anybody new other than these 4 women. Did we have a Japanese wrestler on the damn roster? We don't even see her. Where's Tasha Steelz? Where's Gazelle Shaw? I know next week Gazelle's going to be showing up because they're going to have a match for her, but I'm sorry, there's almost nothing there. And understand, it's not bad booking. It's just very bad presentation because you have so few women to work with in TNA that they're willing to show. And it's not because of it's a 2-hour show. Please, come on. Please. That's bullshit. They can show more women in 2 hours and men in 2 hours. They just have to schedule their time more often. Moving on. Kaz versus Santana. Now, it was a good match. And I'm glad to see they're really spotlighting Santana and that he has to work hard to be able to get to the top. But once you see Dirty Dango come out, I know I can call him Johnny Dango Curtis. I'm not doing it. I'm just going to call him Dirty Dango. I like calling him that. Let's make this very clear. You're now going to put Dirty Dango up against Santana, which is fine, due to the fact that Kaz is now one of the members of the 6 who's going to be in the title picture in Slammiversary, which is all right. I'm fine with that. I'm just hoping that Dango can really make it feel important with a Mike Santana. The last match will be the Hardys, Rebecca and Matt versus Alicia and Eddie. Now, let me give it to you like this. The little video we saw, well, not video, but the interview we saw with Matt and Rebecca, or Rebby, wasn't bad. But when you see them in the ring, and I'm sure Rebby had to get into some level of ring shape before she got in there, you could tell she has not wrestled in 8 years. She's beautiful. Physically, she's gorgeous. She talks well. But when you see how she is in the ring, it's much to be desired. And understand, Alicia Edwards is not one of the best wrestlers. She just is not. Alicia is not a great wrestler. She's an okay wrestler. This is average. She sometimes floats between here and here. And that's not a knock. That's just how she works. And let's make it clear, that's not a bad thing. Not every wrestler has to be top tier. You got to have some wrestlers that are mid-card. And you got to make them feel like something. And they've been doing that with Alicia. And I've not had a, excuse me, had not had a problem with that. Being a part of the system, I think she's done a very good job being a member of the system, being annoying, being condescending, being an attitude. I kind of wish Marsha was in the system herself as well, and that would add on to her working with someone. Seeing that they're working together like they've always been tagging together, but she's not a part of the system, really doesn't really fit well for me. But I will say Alicia's doing well in the system. I am. They're not going to give her the world title, so they got to give her a tag title belt. And they got to do it like this to keep Marsha separate from her. I understand it, but I still believe Marsha should be a part of the system. The match wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. Rebecca really needs some work. She had her moments. Let's make it clear. There were a few moments during the match she looked good. But I'm not going to tell you it was perfect. It wasn't. In the end, the Hardys won. But, no, it's not the last match. I'm sorry. The Hardys won. But still. Rebecca, if she's going to keep wrestling, let's just hope she gets back in the ring shape. Now, I did not say that. Excuse me. I didn't say about the two matches. That was for the position for the 6-man elimination at Slammiversary. Now, Kaz did win with Santana. That was a match. And Joe Henry versus Jake Something was the second match. I enjoyed this match for the simple reason of how much Joe Henry is over. You may not like Joe. I can understand that. If you don't like Joe, I can understand it. Sorry, I just moved the mic. But I can tell you this. Joe Henry is so over. I understand why NXT asked for him. It wasn't that TNA wanted to send him, just NXT asked for him. There's no way they didn't. There has to be some type of back and forth between the collab saying, okay, we're going to send you this. Oh no, could you send this person? Fine. That's what TNA did. And seeing how over he was with the crowd, seeing that he does work pretty well. But I still state that sometimes, especially when he's about to do a suplex, that he wants to do these knee bends. He doesn't look strong enough to be able to do it correctly, and I don't want to see him blow out his knees. I'm just hoping that he'll be careful and not hurt himself. There are certain points where a wrestler must know his limitations and not go overboard because you can hurt yourself bad. And I don't want to see him hurt himself bad. If he's got a wrestler that's easily his weight or above, if he's physically not strong enough in the knees, I just don't want to see him do those knee bend suplexes. He's about to do a suplex, but it goes like this. I don't want to see it because I don't want to see him get hurt. That's just me. But let's make it clear. Was this a good match? It was. Was it better than Santana and Frankie Kazarian? No. Frankie Kazarian and Santana was better. The best match was Leon Slater and Trey Miguel. There's no way around it. The X Division is a lot more fast-paced. Both these two matches were not as fast-paced. And even though it is connected to Slammiversary, I felt if you're going to go by just sheer wrestling, it was. First was the first match. Second was the third match. And pretty much the fifth match was the third match. In that order. Now, which one was more important? Joe Henry and Jake Something was the important match out of all 5 matches that we actually had here. It was the most important because they had to make Joe Henry mean something. And that's what they did. He won this match. Perfect. Let's go. He's going to be on Slammiversary. That's what we got. Now, the last 2 things I'm going to talk about is this. We don't know who took out Nick Nimitz. It's a question. If I had to take a guess, you could easily say either a Steve Macklin or a Charlie Dempsey or someone else that you wouldn't expect. Now, when it comes to PCO, putting his hands, well, grabbing his hands, this is after Steph Delana went through the chair. Well, not chair, but table. I think the reason I'm botching here is that I still believe they should have done this in a restaurant scene. I just wish they had. And now doing it in the back, Steph Delana doing this, it even makes it more upsetting to me that they could have done an actual date with Steph Delana and PCO. Then they could have done the scene in the ring while she explains what's going on. And then after she went through a table, he could have said, I got a car battery in my chest. He takes both her hands, put it over his heart, says shocked, and she gets shocked, and she wakes up like the Bride of Frankenstein. I'm not going to tell you that wasn't funny, because it reminded me of Young Frankenstein. Still thinking about the Frankenstein monster with a big slung about to jam it into a woman that will become the Bride of Frankenstein, and she loves every bit of it, singing Sweet Mystery of Life. I found you finally, because she got shafted. I'm not going to tell you this show was bad, because it was not. The camera work was good. Lighting wasn't great around the ring. And this is what I have to say. Since Santana is coming from the fans' perspective into the ring, if he keeps this up, TNA has to understand what they're doing from now on. I believe this is the second time Santana came from the back and where the fans are, and not came from where the regular wrestlers came. If he keeps this up, TNA must realize this is what he does. They got to talk to him. Are you going to keep doing this? If he says yes, they're going to have to get a spotlight on his ass and make sure that he can be seen. Because if this happens again, and they know he's doing this, it's just very sloppy work. But other than that, the show was good. But as I said before, I still believe TNA is getting the short end of the stick here. We're still not getting any real established wrestlers. Charlie Dempsey, Tatum Paxley. That's it. What did we send over to TNA? From TNA over to NXT. We sent Ash of Elegance, who is well established and known there. We sent Jordan Grace. We sent Kaz, Frank Kazarian. We sent Joe Henry. But we haven't sent anyone else. And I know someone's going to say, dude, storylines, wait and see. I am. But when we don't get anyone really important going over to TNA to really give them a buzz, and it's all small fries, then will you finally see what I'm saying? Then will you say to me, you were right. TNA did not gain anything, no better than AEW, because the crossover wasn't much. Because we sent all these people over to NXT, and NXT gets a huge amount of buzz because a TNA wrestler that is well established, is well groomed, has gone through a lot, and is just loved. But when it comes back to the other side, they keep sending small fries, nothing substantial. What do you gain? Zero. Peace.